Hey, man, what's going on? Coach Free here. Check this out. Today, we're going to talk about positive self thoughts, right? Positive self thoughts. And, when we start this process, we're going to start this process by talking about an experience, right? That you endured, something that you endured in life, something that was said to you maybe repeatedly throughout your life. And these negative thoughts stem from that, right? These negative thoughts that you carry with you right now, that you carry with you today, stems from some type of experience, right? It stems from, maybe it was somebody of influence that said something to you. Maybe it was a relationship where certain things happened. And, you carried that situation with you throughout, saying until this time. So what ends up happening is that situation or that experience, right, created this thought process in you that maybe you're not good enough. Maybe you're not, smart enough. Maybe you're not whatever, right? Whatever the case is, whatever the negative thought is, right? Understand that that stemmed from an experience in life, something that you experienced, whether it was through words, whether it's through, a situation, a circumstance, a relationship, right? It stemmed from somewhere. And you have to go back and identify where that thought kind of came from, right? Because there's no one that comes into this world thinking negatively about themselves. They had to have had an experience to start that thought process, right? Maybe you went through some things in life, maybe you made some bad decisions in life and everybody kept telling you whatever, right? So now you're at that point in life where you're starting to believe that, right? And or maybe you just it's up here because you've heard it time and time again. It's up here and it's constantly creating thoughts. Every time you go through a situation similar to whatever that situation was, you're right, neurons in your brains make the connection. So now whatever words were said during that time frame or whatever emotion was created through that time frame, they come back, right? They come back and you don't think about the situation or you don't think about you don't think about the situation or you don't think about it being because of what happened 20 years ago or what was said 10 years ago or whatever the case is, what was said in this relationship. You don't think about it that way, but that's exactly where it's stemming from. Now, once you get through this process and you start making this connection, right? Your brain starts to make this connection to what's going on now, to what was said back then, or maybe it's the same type of situation and you're hearing the same things again. Now you have a pattern of thought being created. You have a pattern of thought being created because a pattern of words have been said. So now that pattern of thought becomes a part of you, which ignites your imagination, which also connected to your emotions, right? Which is sending out all kind of chemicals throughout the body. So your body is reacting to this negative thought, right, that you have about yourself. And these negative thoughts are negative energy, which cause inflammation in the body. Inflammation in the body turns around and aids to high blood pressure, aids to diabetes, it aids to obesity, it aids to all kind of illnesses, right? So you having negative thoughts about self is not a good thing, right? Now, how do you get past having these negative thoughts about self? Is one, you have to identify the thoughts. Always be able to identify the thought, right? Identify, okay, that's a negative thought about self, about myself. Why am I having that thought? Why am I having this negative thought? Where did this stem from, right? You have to go back and figure it out. You have to go back and figure out where is this negative thought coming from, right? Where did it stem from? Was it something, maybe my dad said that I wasn't good enough, right? All my life, right? Maybe he just said I wasn't good enough. Maybe my mom said that I wasn't intelligent enough. I wasn't smart enough, right? Whatever the case is, maybe it was a boss, right? Maybe I had a job and my boss told me that I would never be good enough to do whatever, right? You have to go back and figure that out. Where did that stem from? Now you got to go through a process, right? It's a process of trying to figure this stuff out and moving forward from it. If you don't go through the process, then you'll forever be stuck in this way of thought. Understand this. Thoughts are things. Now, with these things, they either want to exist or they want to be let go of. The only way to let go of a thought, right, is to go through a process of eliminating the thought, right? Eliminating the thought or creating the thought. That's the only way you can eliminate the thought, by positive words, positive actions, by realization of that I'm way better than that. I am good enough. I am blessed enough. I am whatever, right? You got to go through a process, right? Because there's two parts of your brain. You got your left part of your brain, you got your right part of the brain. And if your right part of the brain is saying, oh, I'm not good enough, the left side of your brain wants the information to support it. And it's not going to find it, right? It's only information that's going to support that is the information that you connect to, right? And we'll get deeper into that but later on. But, just for this purpose today, right, understand that you have to go back and identify the situation or the circumstances or the influence, right? What stimulated the thought? What created the thought? And what state was you in when that thought was created, right? When they told you that you wasn't good enough, how did you feel about that, right? Because emotions amplify, right? Emotions amplify the thought. So if what was said to you at that time, that negative, whatever, and you took it and it shattered you, right? It's going to continue to shatter you for the rest of your life until you go back and identify it and go through a process of eliminating the thought or creating the thought, right? So you have to go back. Once again, you have to go back and eliminate these thoughts. You got to go back and evaluate these thoughts. Well, identify the thoughts first, right? Evaluate the thoughts and then make a decision. Am I going to allow this thought to be a part of me, or am I going to let this thought go, right? Am I going to allow what was said to me 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago affect my life today? Or am I going to let that go so that I can be what I need to be, want to be, and should be, right? So you have to go through a process with this thing to really try to figure this out. And you might need help, right? You may need a coach. You may need to call me. You may need to do something, right? Get with somebody that's going to be able to help you through this process, because, it's not that easy of a process, because you got to go back into your emotions. You got to go back into the situation, which a lot of people try to avoid. But these situations of negative thoughts within self, right, is causing you not to, one, be your authentic self, two, move forward in life, right? So check it out, man. Coach Free, just wanted to come in and say that real quick. You have to focus, man. You have to focus on the good things about you. Stop focusing on the bad. But you have to identify the bad thoughts, right? You have to identify those bad thoughts, and you have to go through a process to either make that thought a reality or get rid of that thought. If making that thought a reality does not serve you, then get rid of it, right? Go through a process, get with somebody, right? Look it up, Google it, whatever you need to do, and go through a process of letting that negative thought go, because that negative thought is doing a lot of damage, right? Negative thoughts are negative energy. Negative energy destroys. You understand? Negative energy destroys. It destroys neurons. It destroys, cells. It destroys all kinds of, it even gets to a point that it destroys DNA, that it will start the process of destroying your human DNA. So you have to start getting rid of these thoughts, dealing with these thoughts, and figuring it out, right? Figuring out how to move forward past these thoughts. And I just told you there's two ways. You can get rid of the thought, or you can make the thought a reality, right? And if it's not serving you, then get rid of it, right? Get rid of the negative thought. Find the process. Go through the process of getting rid of that negative thought. Check this out, Coach Free. Love each and every last one of y'all, man. If y'all got any questions about anything that I just said, hit me up in the comments. inbox me, whatever you need to do. But whatever the case is, understand, right? Your negative thoughts about self need to end, right? You need to get more positive about self. You need to get more positive about in your thought process, because in your thought process, right, creates the words that come out of your mouth, or the words that you say about yourself. And that right there is where a lot of problems come into play, right? Between the thoughts and the words coming out your mouth to yourself. What you think about yourself is of value. What you think about yourself is worth the investment of time, right? So that you're making sure that you are not destroying you, right? What other people say about you is irrelevant, really, right? But it's what you are saying about yourself that is important, right? That's what matters. What you think about yourself and what you say about yourself really does matter, because you're conditioning your brain. You're conditioning your brain, right? To the more you say it, the more you think it, you are conditioning your brain to continue to think that. You're conditioning your brain. You're creating habits of thinking that way. And when you create habits of thinking that way, you create the body. The body creates habits of releasing chemicals, cortisol, right? All of these different chemicals in response to the thought. And you don't want a bunch of stress hormones. You don't want a bunch of bad, so you don't want too much of anything in you that's going to cause you pain, that's going to cause you to, maybe gain weight, or maybe, get brain fog or amnesia or anything like that. And that's what negative thoughts do in your brain, right? They cause problems. Negative energy destroys, right? So the more negative thoughts you have about yourself, you're destroying yourself. Check it out. Coach Frey, once again, love each and every last one of y'all, man. Any questions, hit me up. Hope y'all got some value out of this, man. Join me tomorrow. We're going to talk about the thoughts, man. We're going to talk about the words, right? The words that come out of your mouth, negative talk, right? Self-negative talk. We're going to get into that a little bit tomorrow. And then we're going to continue this process this week about self-thought, self-words, self-everything. We're going to talk about it this week. Check it out. Love y'all, man. Peace.